talk about, you mentioned breathing and performance, or breathing. We can first keep it on like a business level about our performance in our work. How does breathing impact that?
So it impacts, and I kind of go into the basic science of it just because I think it's the most fascinating way of doing it, but I describe it using completely non-scientific terms because that's much more approachable and a way that you can actually teach children as well, which is another passion of mine, to kind of empower those to empower others. So if we think about it from a basic sense, if we think about our lungs almost like a tree, we're breathing the oxygen in. Obviously, it's not just oxygen, there's other things, but you want the oxygen from the air down into the leaves of the tree. So when it gets to the leaf of the tree, we then have each leaf is kind of wrapped in the capillaries, so we can get into the blood. And in there, you've got little red buses. So they're called hemoglobin, but little red buses. And you imagine those little red buses driving from your lungs, who've collected the oxygen up as passengers, all the way around to your brain or your muscles. So whether it's cognitive performance, or whether it's sporting performance, or whether it's just walking to go and get your child from nursery, at whatever level you're looking at here, we want to make sure that we're getting oxygen to the brain and the muscles. Now, in an ideal scenario, we'd have, for example, like a motorway, and we'd have 3 double-decker red buses full of oxygen next to each other the whole way. And when they arrive, the reason why it is a motorway is because carbon dioxide, which is what we breathe out, is actually there as a dilator. It widens not only the airway, but also the blood vessels. And when it does that, it also has a second job to do before it's expelled from our body, which is to open the doors like porters of the buses that allows the oxygen to get off and actually enter your brain or your muscles. So if we imagine this in a very simplistic sense, we want that nice wide motorway, and we want lots of CO2 in our body. Now, if we're an overbreather, somebody who breathes too hard, too fast, too often, too shallow through your mouth, for example, or just heavily in through your nose, in this scenario, what we're going to do is we're going to plummet too much CO2 too quickly. And that will then narrow the road to a dual carriageway, or a 2-lane, depending on, obviously, America, English, we use different terminology, but from a 3-lane to a 2-lane road. And when you do that, you're stacking a bus behind. So your delivery to the location in your body is slower, and then the CO2 is in less quantity, so there's less porters on duty to open the doors, so not all of the oxygen gets off either, and for the CO2 to then get back on the bus and drive back round to the lungs. So in that scenario, we're living suboptimally at the level of 2 lanes. Now,